I'm at the Calais ferry terminal, and you might ask where my Land Rover is. Well, my Land Rover is over there somewhere. Unfortunately, we had a breakdown. So we've had a great 9 weeks driving around Corsica. This is just some footage of me driving my Land Rover through or around the Calanches of Piana. I think I've pronounced that right. And this just puts into perspective how big this area really is. The Calanches is actually a World Heritage Site, and this is just a small part of it. Down at sea level, it's absolutely massive. As with all of these types of places, the camera never does it justice. My wife Marie very kindly stayed behind and recorded this footage. We spent 2 days driving up through France, and just outside Calais, the Land Rover gave up. This is me under the right hand side rear wheel arch checking the fuel filter. Here's where I establish there is no fuel getting through to the fuel filter, and there is a half a tank full of fuel. A short while later we were on the low loader and heading to the compound. Not so much the Land Rover, my Defender, it's fuel. I think the fuel pump has stopped working. Here I am outside Calais ferry terminal. We're booked on Irish ferries with our vehicle, but because we haven't got our vehicle, we can't go onto the Irish ferries because they don't take foot passengers. So subsequently, we've tried P&O, who do take foot passengers, and it turns out that they've got no availability for 2 days. So my wife is currently liaising with a taxi company in Dover who will get on the ferry. They'll send a driver with a car. They will get on the ferry, come to Calais, pick us up, and go straight back, take us straight back to Dover. That's going to cost us in the region of £350. The insurance company apparently, my insurance company, Adrian Flux, apparently don't cover that. And I can understand it if it wasn't in the policy. Watch this space. As I said, I'm in Calais and it's something like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So I'll be letting you know. So here I am, I'm back in England, and I've just taken this moment. I've just taken my wife's car for its MOT, and I just thought I'd take this time to, while it's quiet, to explain the situation so far, really. So what happened was we had to try to transfer our ferry booking from Calais to Dover to the taxi that was coming to pick us up, and that would save us a little bit of money. So what happened is my wife went over to the border, you know, where you drive the car through, to the border control lady. Now, the border control lady was having none of it. She said, when I say she was having none of it, she said to my wife that was crazy. She asked my wife to come and get me, her husband, and she would find somebody who was going to England that would give us a lift. Now, my wife and I looked at each other as if this can't really be a thing, but we were prepared to give it a try. Now, I'm not exaggerating. Within a couple of minutes, a car had pulled up to our right and was at the barrier, and the border force lady obviously asked the gentleman the question, would he give us a lift? And I'm not joking, without hesitation, he said yes, and within a few seconds he was putting what very little luggage we had into the trunk of his car, into the back of his car. And that gentleman, Sam, I've never known, and his partner, Lana, I've never known anybody do anything that kind. And he did it without hesitation. Me and Marie, we are still thanking you. We said our goodbyes to Sam and Lana, and they dropped us off at a place in Dover, where my daughter, who had been working in London all day, caught the train back to Fleet and drove all the way down to Dover to collect us. And we finally got home at about 12 o'clock or midnight on Thursday night. So what's the story so far? Well, the story so far is my Land Rover is stuck in a compound in Calais. And it's the compound of the recovery people that picked us up from the motorway. They were supposed to have done an assessment on the repair last week, well, Friday, but let's face it, it was the weekend, so they didn't have time. They said they were going to do it on Monday. I subsequently got a phone call from the insurance company saying that due to staff shortages at the garage, they only had one mechanic. They were not going to be able to do an assessment of my vehicle until the latter part of this week. Now, I don't know if I said it before, but I know exactly what's wrong with my vehicle, and it's the fuel pump has stopped working. And I tried to tell one of the mechanics, I mean, I don't speak French, so I had to do it through a translation app. I tried to tell him or show him that it was the fuel pump, and I don't know if he took any notice or not, and probably he's probably one of the ones that hasn't turned in this week for work, I don't know. But my French wasn't that great, so I had to do it through the translation app, and as far as I can remember, I told him I thought it was the fuel pump. However, they're not going to take my word for it, and they'll have to do their own assessment. On the Friday that we returned, I ordered a new fuel pump from my Land Rover, and I received it on the following Saturday. I informed the insurance company that I now have a fuel pump for my Land Rover, and could I go over and fit it? They subsequently contacted the garage, and the garage said no, they didn't want to fit customers' parts, and they wouldn't let me actually fix my Land Rover on their premises. So that's where we are. It's all in the hands of the insurance company and the garage, and I feel like it's going to go on forever. So what we're going to do, my wife and I, on Monday, we're going to take our other vehicle, not this one, we've got another one, and get all of our valuable stuff that we've got, or as much as we can, out of the Land Rover, because it's just going to sit there and rot. I can see this going on forever. I can really see this just dragging on. So that's it. I've got a fuel pump. I'm going to take it with me on Monday and try to talk them into letting me do it, or letting me give it to them so that they can fit it. I'm going to expose a trap door that's in the back of the Land Rover, or a trap hatch that's been cut in the back of the Land Rover to facilitate an easy change of the pump. And just see how I get on. So what have I learned from this so far? I've learned I must learn to speak more French, and I must read all the small print of the policy. As far as I was concerned with the recovery, I think this is the standard procedure, that how I expected it to play out when I broke down on the motorway was that the motorway safety people, they have to get a registered recovery vehicle to come and collect us, and as far as I was aware, that recovery vehicle would then take us to a safe place, possibly a service area, and offload us, and then we would contact our insurance company and do the recovery and repatriation that way. I wasn't aware that what they do, they put you on the back of a low loader and they take you to a compound, a gated compound. Then they more or less, I'm not saying they've done this, but they more or less impound your car. There's nothing I can do to try and repair it, and I know I can repair it myself. I possibly could have stripped down the fuel pump and got that going, but they just wouldn't let me do anything to the vehicle. So Sam and Lana and my daughter Ashley. Me and Marie, thank you very, very much. You're all so very kind. Thank you. My insurance company, Sterling Insurance, have been very good during this. When I say Sterling Insurance, I mean Sterling Insurance via Adrian Flux and via a company called Trinity Lane. They've all been good, and also the French component of Trinity Lane have all been very good. They've kept us informed all of the way. In fact, nearly every day, apart from the last two probably, we've spoken to them. But to me, it seems it's all in the hands of the garage. And obviously the language barrier is a real problem. Anyway, on a lighter note, and it's not all bad news, my wife's car passed the MOT, which that's a great bit of news for me. So watch this space. So just one other thing. If anybody else has had this sort of experience before and could possibly give me some advice, I'd be very grateful. Thank you very much. Anyway, this is just a few self-indulgent, nostalgic, gratuitous shots of my Land Rover in various places when we were in Corsica. Thank you very much for watching.